Welcome to an interactive DIY Christmas album tutorial. I'm Charee Filimoehala here at the G45 headquarters, and today I am thrilled to get to show you how to take our chipboard sheets and our 12x12 papers and turn it into this gorgeous interactive album. And it is filled to the brim with great little folders for adding in your photos and sentiments. You can see we're really maximizing the use of this paper and the gorgeous design elements that it offers. We're creating some paper closures and so many little flips and flaps, tuck spots for your tags and writing in your sentiments. So I am so thrilled to get to teach you all of these great techniques in this tutorial. You can see we've got these fun folders, and I am thrilled to get to teach you this fun belly band waterfall element. It's the first of its kind that I have seen, so I am thrilled to try this out and reuse it in my paper crafting adventures. And then the details just keep on going with so many fun interactive elements and this fun little card for adding in more of your memories. So we hope that you join us for this tutorial and enjoy all these great techniques. This fun folio has been created for us this month by the fabulous Carla Lavera. And to pick up our Volume 10 album kit, you can do that by hopping on over to our website, G45papers.com, or heading down to your local G45 retailer. In the kit, you're going to get all the supplies you see here. The Volume 10 kit is packed with fun supplies and goodies, including a Graphic 45 bag, the metal door plates and knobs, of course, the project sheet with step-by-step directions, and our last Deluxe Collector's Edition that is complete with the stickers and chipboard, along with all of those 12x12 double-sided sheets. So you get 24 of those. And then, of course, the Kraft chipboard. You're going to get 10 of these sheets, and they're a nice medium 32-point weight. So we encourage you to pick up the kit, or you can always just grab the supplies you've got at home in your stash and create along with this fun tutorial. So do that, and let's start creating this album. Now, an optional step to get started is grabbing that project sheet. Of course, if you've got the kit, it came along with that. If you didn't, you can go to our website, G45papers.com, and pick that up under the Inspiration tab. Just go down to Project Sheets. I'm going to give you all the directions, including the dimensions, so you don't need it, but it can be helpful to have as we go along. Step one, we are taking our Up on the Housetop papers. We're going to grab 2 of those, and we are going to match these up so our stripe design is continuous. Even take some washi if you have some nice washi tape around. I'm just using some of our ivory and silver from our card kit for Volume 10, and just going to adhere those together so I can mark these. I'm just going to mark this one on my left at the bottom where those meet, and then this one on my right where that info strip meets as well. So I will know where they start and stop. So I'm taking my paper that was on my left, and the first thing I want to do is cut off my info strip. And now I want to cut from the bottom side where I've made my little mark. You can see it's right here, and I want to cut this to be 9.5 inches. And then from the right sheet mark, I'm going to be cutting 9.5 inches from the bottom with that mark on top. Now, when I put this together, my stripes are nice and continuous. Flip those over and add some tape between the 2 seams. Step 2, we are going to be cutting 7 chipboard pieces and numbering them as we go along. So piece number 1 is going to be 5 7/8 by 8 inches. Number 2 is 3/4 of an inch by 8 inches. 3 is 5 7/8 by 8 inches. 4 is going to be 1 1/2 by 8. 5 is 6 inches by 8 inches. 6 is 1 5/8 by 8 inches. And 7 is 2 1/2 by 8 inches. So then we are going to add our dry adhesive to all 7 of those pieces. I'm just using some score tape here and one of our Graphic 45 ink pads that has a nice straight edge like so. And I just use that to work out any air pockets and then get a cleaner edge at the bottom. So I have taken the backing off my score tape and I have my piece number 1. And I am going to eyeball this so it's in the center from the top and bottom. And I'm going to leave about, about 3/4 of an inch on the left-hand side. Go ahead and burnish that down. Now I like to have a little handy dandy scrap piece. Here's just a glitter, but sometimes I do with chipboard leftovers. And it's just a 1/8 of an inch scrap piece that I can put between my pieces. So now when I'm adding my second piece, I know that I'm gonna have enough room between my 2 pieces that I'll be able to open and shut, and I'm not going to tear my papers. So just using that as a guide, match up my number 2 piece with my 1 and pull out my little strip. And we'll just keep working our way to the right. Of course, you can use a liquid adhesive rather than the dry adhesive. You just want to make sure if you're using liquid that you're getting a nice even coating of that and that you're not going to have any buckling and that you're really smoothing out all those air pockets. I do like the dry adhesive on covers because it does add that little extra bit of strength as well. And if you watch my tutorials, you know I am a huge fan of liquid adhesive. So whenever I'm not using it, I do think that it's pretty important. So you can see I don't have a ton of space for my 7, which is great because we have planned for that. So I'm only going to take my score tape off on the side, on the back of the left-hand side. And I will match this up like we have been doing. And go ahead and take your bone folder and smooth all these out, making sure you're getting a really nice bond. And then go around the edges of all of your pieces. Next, we are just going to cut at a 45-degree angle on our left-hand edges, leaving about 1/8 of an inch of room between our chipboard and our paper. And I've added 2 pieces of thin score tape on my left-hand edge. And now I'm going to slowly fold this over. I like to start in the middle and then work my way out. Add score tape to the top and bottom. I'm going to start towards the center, towards our 4 piece, and just start folding this over. Just make sure you're pulling up as you fold along. Just work your way around. Smooth everything out and then go ahead and slide your bone folder down all those channels. And then we can start to fold this together like so. And I have a seam here and a little bit of a wrinkle from my score tape here, but not to worry because we're going to add some gorgeous paper there and cover that up. Step 3, we are taking our Ho 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 paper, and it's been cut to 3 1/4 by 9.5 inches. And then we are going to open up our folio like so and add this to our 7-piece. So go ahead and fold that over so you can see exactly how much of your stripe is showing, and slowly start to burnish that down. Once you have that, go along the edges with your bone folder, and then 45-degree trim out those right corners and fold it all together. Add your adhesive just like we did before and fold over those edges. So now your album cover should look like this. Step 4, we've cut 3 pieces of long winter snap and we've put them in between our spine pieces. And on the right hand side, our first one's cut to 2.5 by 7 3/4. This baby's cut to 3 inches by 7 3/4 and 5 inches by 7 3/4. And then we've used our dry adhesive and adhered those down. And now just finding our channels, we are going to use the side of our bone folder and go ahead and crease that, making sure that you get all those air pockets out as well. And then just slowly start bending our album together. Now we're going to start working on our section 1. So what we are going to be creating are these 2 flaps and this main base back here. For step 5, we're going to cut a piece of Ho 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 paper to 5 1/4 by 7 3/4, and then we're going to cut out 2 pieces of Merry Mistletoe to be 5 1/4 by 6 inches. We're going to take one of those pieces of Merry Mistletoe and put it on the 6-inch side. So this is bottom and top based on my words, and I'm going to score this at 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to take my second piece of Merry Mistletoe, putting that in the same placement. I'm going to score this at 5 1/4. Fold on those score lines. Add adhesive on the ivory side of our flaps. This one has got the words going upright, and I'm going to take my border Ho 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 paper, and this is going to adhere at the bottom on the back side of that paper, making sure everything is right side up. And then my piece with the flap on the top, we'll do the same thing at the top of our Ho 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 paper. We have created some fun decorative flaps. And if you want to go that extra mile, you can take your corner rounder and round your exposed flaps. Step 6, we're taking Happy Holiday, and we are going to cut it to be 5 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then we are going to put it in at the 5 1/2 inch direction and score this at 4 3/4. Fold on that score line, add your adhesive, and this is going to adhere to the bottom of our section 1 piece that we've been working on. We're going to take another piece of Happy Holiday, and we're going to cut this to 5 1/4 by 5 inches and score this at 3/4 of an inch from the top on the 5-inch side. And this is going to go over the top of our section 1 piece. And round those corners. Step 7, we're taking a piece of ho ho ho. Let's cut to 4 by 6 inches, and I've trimmed out those edges. And then grab your jolly old elf paper and fussy cut out this circle. I've added adhesive in a U shape, and I'm going to put this up towards the right top, leaving about 1/4 of an inch around, and this will adhere in the bottom left corner. Step 8, we're taking Twas the Night Before Christmas B-side, and we've cut this to be 4.5 by 4 inches. And if you want to add some decorative corners to this, you can always take a circle punch and just notch out those corners. I've added adhesive in a U shape, and I'm just going to center this on my bottom ivory flap. And then add this Christmas sticker. From Long Winter's Nap, we're going to cut out this cut apart. We want to trim this to be 5 inches, so I'm going to cut 1/2 of an inch off either side, like so, and adhere this to the upper flap. Step 9, we have flipped up our bottom flap, and we've cut a piece of up on the housetop to be 5 inches by 2 1/4, and we've added adhesive in a U shape. And then this is going to just go on our red flap towards the bottom. Next, we're going to add this label sticker. I'm going to add it with this Twas the Night Before Christmas plate, but of course you could leave that out and write in, maybe 2022 or your family name. Add your sticker, and then we're going to cut these 2 pieces out from up on the housetop, and they're going to slide into our little pocket. Of course, if you want to go above and beyond like Carla has, you can always add some coordinating twine or ribbon. Step 10, we've cut another B-side from Twas the Night Before Christmas to 4.5 by 4 inches and notched out our corners and added this sticker. Step 11, we have cut a piece of ho 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 paper to be 1 inch by 4.5. And then we've taken this chipboard piece and these 2 round little babies. And then from our cover of our paper pack, I've cut out 2 pieces that are approximately 3/4 of an inch by 1 inch. And then I am going to just roughly fold those in half, the 3/4 of an inch on the 3/4 of inch side, like so. And then I'm just going to glue these closed. Now I flipped over my chipboard piece, and I'm creating a channel for my paper flap to go through. So I want that to go through the center, and I want these to be on either side, so it will kind of direct where that goes and keep it in place. So just kind of eyeballing it and leaving a little bit of extra room so it can tuck in there nicely. Ahead and adhere those pieces down once you like your placement. Now add adhesive onto our little segments, our flaps, and this is going to adhere on our bottom flap with all closed about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom in the center. Adhere your chipboard circles, round one end of your paper flap. And then we're going to take our fine tip scissors and fussy cut this piece out from Jolly Old Elf. Fussy cutting out circles can always be a little bit difficult, but once you adhere it down onto the page, no one's going to notice any imperfections. So we are going to take our paper flap and we're going to insert it into our chipboard piece like so. So we have a little bit of our flap revealed on the underneath side, and just pulling this up, I'm going to add some adhesive on the back side. And now I'm going to take my fussy cut piece and add some adhesive to this. So some of my bottom will be hanging off my edge. So I just want to note it's about an inch from the bottom, like so, and don't add any adhesive there. Flip that over and wipe up any excess. And add a little more adhesive where our flap goes to give it some extra strength and structure. I've added both adhesives to the back of this. I've added a little bit of liquid adhesive, that way it'll let me slide this around if I need to a little bit. Give me a little extra time before making the commitment. So once I like my placement, go ahead and burnish this down. So we are going to be moving on to our next section here, where we'll be creating these fun belly band waterfalls and this little flap along with these 3 folders. Step 14, we're going to cut out 3 different papers. All of those are going to be 4.5 by 11.5, and we're going to cut out Happy Holiday. We're going to cut out Bundle of Toys and Jolly Old Elf. And then we're going to score all 3 of those at 5/8 of an inch, 5 3/4 of an inch, and 10 3/4 of an inch. And then we're going to fold up from the bottom, fold up again. And then our top 5/8 of an inch flap, we'll just fold down. Add adhesive to that 3/4 of an inch flap and adhere down, creating that belly band. So just taking a 1-inch circle punch, I'm going to go through 1 layer, just that top layer and the center of our belly band, and I'm going to do that on all 3. Step 16, we're cutting out 3 pieces from 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and 2 of those are going to be 5 5/8 by 1 1/4, and one of those is going to be 5 5/8 by 4 7/8. Add your adhesive to that 5/8 of an inch flap and adhere that down flush with the top of your tan word papers. And then taking one of these green stripes, one of our smaller of the 2, we're going to adhere this just right underneath there. I want to make sure it's going to lay down nice and flat, and then go to the top in the center. Next, we'll do our clock paper. And that's going to go flush underneath our green stripes. And then adhere another green stripe just underneath there, making sure it goes up as high as it can and is nice and parallel and even to our top one. Add our little Santa paper, and then our large green stripe just goes right underneath that. Step 17, we're going to cut 2 pieces of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas and 1 piece of Bundle of Toys that are going to be 3.5 by 4 1/4, and then notch out those corners. Add your papers and chipboard to your belly band waterfall. If you want to go for that extra festive look, try adding some decorative ribbon or twine to those chipboard pieces. Step 18, we're going to cut this card out from up on the housetop, and we are going to score at 1/2 of an inch on the 6-inch side. Add adhesive to that 1/2-inch flap and adhere this in the center of your green stripe on the bottom. And then add these decorative stickers underneath those 2 flaps. Step 19, we're going to cut Happy Holiday, Merry Mistletoe, and Bundle of Toys, and these are all going to be 12 inches by 4 3/4. And then we're going to score all 3 of these at 5 1/4 and 10.5. And I want my plaid side to be on the outside of my folder, and the polka dot on the outside, and my red text on the outside. Add adhesive to your side edges on your small flap. And now we have created a fun little tuck spot for our folder. Cut out these 3 cut aparts and stuff those cuties in your pockets. Step 20, we're going to cut out 3 pieces that are going to be 4.5 by 2 inches. This one's 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, Up on the Housetop, and Happy Holiday. Add these 3 cut aparts. And then we're going to slide these into the belly band pockets. Now let's get to the next section. So we've got this fun paper buckle here, and it opens up like so and reveals a card inside. Step 21, we've cut our ho 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 piece to be 8 1/4 by 7 3/4, and then we've scored that at 5 3/4 on the 8 1/4 side. Add adhesive to the top and bottom of our flap, and we are creating a nice little pocket area. Step 22, we've got a piece of bundle of toys that's been cut to 6 inches by 6 1/4, and then we are going to score at 5 1/4 on that 6-inch side. Add adhesive to that little flap, and with our polka dots on the outside and our Santas on the inside, we are going to center this on the left-hand side on the underneath our ho 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 paper. We're going to take this card from Long Winter's Nap, and from the bottom center, I am going to cut this oval out. So I want the red to be with my frame and the tan to be with my oval. We'll be using both pieces, so be mindful of that. We're going to take our jolly old elf paper. You can see I've already been cutting out of this one, and we are going to fussy cut out this clock, and then we are going to frame our big Santa here. So just find the placement you like and make some marks on all 4 edges. And I'm just going to cut on the inside of all of those edges. So then I have my piece like this, and I've added adhesive to all 4 of those edges. Of course, if you want to leave this open so you can add in your own photo, you could just skip this step here of cutting out your Santa and put in your own photo. Add adhesive in a U shape on the back side and adhere this onto our red polka dots, heavy to the left-hand side. Add adhesive on the back of the left-hand side, and this is just going to adhere in the center right over our seam where we cut in. And now if we'd like, we can always tuck something under there. Step 24, we're taking that jolly old elf paper and we've cut it to 5 3/4 by 7 inches. And then we are just going to score at 3/4 of an inch. Add adhesive to that 3/4 of an inch flap. And this is just going to adhere on the back of our ho 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 paper and center it on the front. Step 25, we've cut a piece of Merry Mistletoe to be 4 inches by 6 inches, and we've notched out those corners and adhered it to the center of our flap. Fussy cut out a medium clock from our jolly old elf paper. Adhere the clock and then your Visions of Sugar Plum piece. Step 26, we're going to take this chipboard piece and a piece of Happy Holy Day, and we've cut that to 6 1/2 by 1 inch and rounded that corner. And then we're going to take some of our leftover cover from our paper pack, and we've cut these 2 pieces to be a 1/4 of an inch by 3 1/2 inches. And then these are just going to fold right in half, and we'll adhere that on to itself like so. Do the same with both of those. And then on the back of our ho ho ho, we are going to add those strips. I've trimmed these down just a little bit, about to just over 1 inch, and I have a nice channel in between where my paper band will fit nicely there. And our belly band has just been scored at 1 inch. I've added adhesive on that 1 inch tab, and I'm going to adhere this so it just overlaps just a tiny bit over our oval, and I'll add my adhesive onto my chipboard piece and then adhere that into place. So you can see I'll just keep holding that down while my adhesive dries, and this paper flap holds this all together beautifully. Step 28, we've got a piece of our bundle of toys that's 1 1/4 by 6 inches, and a piece of Happy Holy Day that is 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. Adhere those two pieces onto your pocket, and then add this Santa sticker. Cut a piece of Merry Mistletoe to be 6 1/2 by 7 1/4. Well, in the instructions, it says to score at 4 1/2 on the 7 1/4 side. However, if you do that, your writing will be upside down if you do it the way that Carla's put hers together, which I'm just gonna do mine differently. I'm just gonna have it go this way, so everything's still right side up, so not to worry. But if you want yours to look like Carla's, where it looks like this, then you're gonna want to score this with the words right side up at 2 3/4 of an inch. And that way you'll end up with this. So score yours at 2 3/4 of an inch. If yours is like mine, add your adhesive to the bottom half. If yours is like Carla's, add your adhesive to the top half of this A Very Merry Christmas card. And then open this up and add your reindeer sticker to your flap. And then mine is just going to adhere inside my pocket like so. I've got both, and now I have both kinds of adhesive added to the back of this, and I'm going to add it to my section that I've labeled number 5. Step 30, cut out 3 pieces from your bundles of toys. This one is 1 1/2 by 7 1/2. 1 3/8 by 7 1/2, and 5/8 by 7 1/2. Adhere those pieces to your spines, going smallest to largest. Step 31, we are working on our 4th section here. Cut the center out from 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and we've cut it to be 6 inches by 7 1/2. On the 6-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 of an inch and 5 1/2 inches. And then turn that so it's at the 7 1/2 inch side. And from the bottom of the paper, we're going to score at 1/2 of an inch. We're going to go ahead and cut those bottom corners at a 45-degree angle. We are creating a nice dimensional pocket with this cute signature page. Now that we've folded all those 1/2 inch flaps back, we're going to go ahead and do a tiny bit of fussy cutting around the scalloped circular borders, making sure my flaps are folded in like so. Add adhesive to those 1/2 inch flaps and making sure everything is right side up. We're going to adhere our pocket. Step 32, we've got a piece of Happy Holy Day to be 9 inches by 7 inches. And we're going to fold that in the middle on the 9-inch side. So that means I'm going to score at 4 1/2. Next, we're going to take Ho Ho Ho, and we've cut it to be 3 1/4 by 7 1/2. And then we are going to score. And then with the bottom of our paper at 0 and the top of our paper at 7 1/2, we are going to score at 6 3/4. Add adhesive to our flap and adhere this to the inside of our folder that we've created. Round your corners and add this decorative sticker. Cut and adhere a piece of Bundle of Joy that's 1 3/4 by 4 1/2 to the front of your folder. Adhere this cut apart. Add your stamps. So if you're doing it like I am and you're not adding any ribbon or twine, you can just adhere this cute little chipboard to the top there. Or if you're adding twine, you can wrap that around your little booklet and tie your little tag on. And this folder just slides right into our circular Santa pocket. Now we are going to finish our cover. So put that to the side. We're going to grab this chipboard piece, and we've cut a scrap piece of chipboard to be about 1 inch by 3/4 of an inch. And this is just going to slide or adhere right to the bottom of this chipboard piece here. Now we're going to get the back of our cover, and we're going to add adhesive onto our raised chipboard piece, not anywhere else on that chipboard. And then this is going to adhere to the center back of our cover about 1 inch from the bottom. So next we're going to be working on creating this fun decorative belly band that's going to go on our album. We're going to cut out 2 pieces from the cover of our DCE that are 10 inches by 3.5. Now we are going to score both of these pieces at 1 7/8. The directions say 1 1/8. At the photo, however, does say 1 7/8. It is 1 7/8. So score that at 1 7/8 and 8 1/8 on both of those pieces. Add adhesive to one of those flaps and start to adhere your 2 cover pieces together. So now I'm going to add adhesive to this one. You can see we have now created a nice sturdy belly band. And then, of course, before you adhere, I did mine off camera, I just forgot to do it here, but before you adhere your pieces, go ahead and put your 2 pieces together and make sure that they are fitting around your album nicely. You don't want it to be too snug, especially since you're going to be adding in photos and other good things in here, but you don't want it to be too loose either. From our signature page, we're cutting off the top and the bottom. We've got the bottom, and that is going to be 12 inches by 2 3/4. And the top is 12 inches by 5/8. This is going to be on the back side of our belly band. So I'm going to kind of try to line this up where I have my halfway point on one of my large sections, and then just slowly working this around, making sure everything is squaring up nicely. And then we're going to do the same with our top border here. You can see I do have a little bit extra room on the top, but I'll just trim off any excess. And you can do the same if you have any left over. Now I just took my heavy duty trimmer and trimmed that up. If you don't have a heavy duty trimmer, you can always just use your scissors, just making sure everything matches up nicely. Step 38, we've taken our bundle of toys and we've cut this to be 6 inches by 3.5, and we've cut a chipboard piece to be those same dimensions. And now we're just going to adhere this on top. Cut a piece of Twas the Night Before Christmas to be 5 1/4 by 3 inches and adhere onto our chipboard piece. We're going to fussy cut the leaves out of this cut apart and cut this stamp out of the top left corner of our Twas the Night Before Christmas paper. Fussy cut this out of Jolly Old Elf and grab our big round chipboard. And then we're going to be opening up our metal door knobs and plates. You can choose which one you like more. I'm going to go with the ornate one and grab 2 of these brads. I'm just going to put my brads through the side I like. I like the embossed side, so take your knob and put it through your door plate like so. I just kind of forced it through there and it would go. You can always take that off and adhere it with some E6000 as well if you want it to be in one place. So next I just popped that circle out from there and I'm going to adhere this on here and just applying a nice layer of our glossy accents. I am going to adhere this right in the center of our little circular clock piece that we have created. And then I'm going to start adhering my pieces down. So I want my stamp to be going off a little bit to the right. My fussy cut piece I'm going to have curving around on the right. And then I'm going to take this beautiful piece, making sure I'm keeping my hand on my door plate so it doesn't budge while it's drying. And this is going to go right in the center. Then I'm going to put this down here, but you can see it needs a little bit of help. So I've just cut 2 scrap pieces of chipboard that I had left over, and I'm going to adhere this down in our little negative space here and adhere our circular piece right on top of that. So your piece should look like this. And then grab your belly band and adhere this on there. Now while your belly band dries, we are going to do our last step. It's take Merry Mistletoe and cut it to 5.5 by 7.5. I've notched those corners, added 2 kinds of adhesive, and this is just going to go right in the center on our front cover. And just open this up and flatten it out so you can get a nice bond. And there you have it. You just take your belly band that we've created and slide that over the top, making sure it goes underneath your little chipboard piece stopper. And we have created this darling, fun and interactive DIY Christmas album. We hope that you enjoyed creating along with us today. We'd love to hear what some of your favorite techniques are or see your projects. So go ahead and share with us in the comments or upload your pictures to our Instagram using the Graphic45 hashtag. If you're looking for more great tutorials like this one, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and then hit that notification bell so you know each and every time we upload a fun and fabulous project like this one. We thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your lovely inspiration, your great feedback and comments. We appreciate you.